Here we will explore true facts about the BC Calculus class. The Advanced Placement Calculus BC class, as described by the College Board, is a full-year course in the calculus of functions of a single variable, and covers all topics included in the Advanced Placement Calculus AB class as well as additional material. Certain colleges enlist this class as Calculus 2, but whether or not you call it Calc BC or Calc 2, it's still flippin' hard. Take, for example, deriving. We used to be able to simply take the power of the variable, use it as a coefficient, and drop the power by 1. Then BC Calc came in and screwed up everything with its fancy schmancy product and chain and quotient rules, which look something like this. Thanks, BC Calc. We obviously appreciate something so easy. As if that wasn't enough, BC Calc also changed integrating. Suddenly we couldn't just raise the power and drop the reciprocal down. No, it had to get complicated. The playing field was open to trig functions all of a sudden, and then there were integrals involving polynomials, and then there were the ever-dreaded integration by parts that had something to do with ultraviolet voodoo. Spooky. My favorite unit is probably U sub, because that's where BC Calc actually makes math a little bit easier. Suppose you have this integral. If you substitute a u in for one of the variables, it makes integrating just a lot easier. That is, unless you have no idea what the heck the u is, and then you're screwed. Yeah. BC Calc makes all previous math classes a lie. When math was previously taught, 0 divided by 0 meant we did something wrong. 0 over infinity didn't exist. That is, until BC Calc came into the picture. You now have to derive the function again and then plug in infinity to find the actual answer. 0 divided by 0 suddenly equals 1. Who knows why? We call this the L'Hopital rule, and that's because the guy who invented this was mentally insane and thus was put in the hospital. And or he invented it to kill people. One of the two. BC Calc is like Jesus in that it can change water into wine, except not. It changes water into the blood and guts of your dead body. It can also calculate the rate at which that water is draining from said body, or really anything. This is called related rates. There's a lot of plugging in and flipping of variables, but it's fairly easy once you identify what is changing and you actually understand the topic. That is, spending 3 more weeks after the test trying to figure out what's going on. And this is how it's not like Jesus. Yeah, I really had no idea where this Jesus analogy came from. Here is a nice looking bowl. If you put that bowl on a graph and make it a function, we can calculate the volume of said bowl on that graph. This is just another example of how calculus has tainted the real world. There are several ways to calculate these volumes. One is the dishwasher method. Yes, I asked. The dishwashers demanded an immediate name change of the method because nobody wants to be named after a technique that lets you calculate the volume of imaginary bowls, even if your job is to wash those bowls. At least your bowls aren't imaginary. And then if you can't calculate it using the dishwasher method, you use the shell method. You can blame the bundt cakes for that problem. Speaking of forevers, calculus has something with forevers. It's as if the infinity sign became a drug dealer and calculus was forever stuck on meth. Infinity signs add a whole new layer of complicated. For instance, in integrals, suddenly you can have an improper integral where you're integrating from 1 to infinity. No one quite understands how this happens. And then there are series and sequences. Yeah. The bottom line is don't do drugs. You'll turn out like BC Calc. If BC Calc had spawned, it would have spawned a demon child, and that demon child would be named Taylor. Unfortunately, it has spawned, and there is a demon child named Taylor, specifically the Taylor series, and unlike other children who actually get tired out, he goes on and on and on forever. He's also fairly hypothetical, and you can only approach him but never actually get to him, which makes disciplining a big problem. Calculus is hard, but quite awesome that the students are able to do these things all within a year. Kind of like sex. However, in all honesty, it is truly a very life-learning and life-important skill. For instance, it has developed an analysis skill that is truly unparalleled to any other class within Peak to Peak. Except maybe AP US History. Or AP Physics. Nevertheless, its value is unparalleled, and the experiences that we have drawn from this class is truly astounding. Thank you, Miss Martin.